Hello, 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 all you fabulous mamas. Thank you so much for joining me today on another episode of Holy Healthy Happy Mama. And today I have a very special treat for you guys. We're going to be talking all about boobs. Yes, I promise this is not the man special, but this is something that is very special to us as women, right? We, like so many other mammals, we get to have that opportunity to breastfeed our babies. And today I wanted to bring on an expert that knows a thing or two or 10 times as much possibly as we each know. And she's going to share her experience and her knowledge with us today. So, all the way from the United States, because I am here in cold Belgium, we've got Sarah O'Rourke today, and she is from Milk and Honey Breastfeeding. And I just want to say, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on today.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. And honestly, it's pretty cold here in South Carolina. Um, we're starting to feel a little bit of winter here, probably not as cold as there, but it's cold and a little bit rainy today. So I'm glad to be in my house, cozied up and chatting with you today, Cheyanne.
Absolutely. It's a total win-win from here too. And what's great is not only do you have this expertise with breastfeeding from your work, but also from your own personal experience because you are a mom of two beautiful children. Would you mind just sharing with us, the moms that are listening, a little bit about your family?
Sure. So I have, as Cheyanne said, I have two kiddos, a little past the breastfeeding phase at this point. My youngest is 9 and my son is just a couple months shy of 12. So I've learned a lot, and then some since I was a breastfeeding mom. And because of my journey when I was breastfeeding them, and what I've learned along the way, that's why I do what I do. And I'm happy to share that with y'all. Like Cheyanne said, I have two kiddos. I said earlier, I live in South Carolina. I've been and I've been working with breastfeeding moms here for a while in my private practice, Milk and Honey.
I love it. And that's what's so wonderful is that you have that own personal experience, but then professional experience that you're bringing with us today. And so much more experience than maybe some of our moms listening. I know that some of our moms today are going to be first time mamas that are maybe pregnant and they're maybe getting close to clicking off this episode because they're like, oh, I'm not there yet. I don't need to worry about breastfeeding until I get there. But that was something I was really pleasantly or unpleasantly a little shocked about was how unprepared I was for breastfeeding for when I first gave birth to our first son. And so I want to know what you think because I think so many women they prepare for things like the baby's nursery, right? Like I got to have this special theme or even the delivery, like packing the hospital bag weeks before they go. But so often they don't focus on breastfeeding or thinking about that journey or the how it's going to be done. Why do you think that is?
That's a really good question. And I completely agree with you. We plan for so much in our society and I think it's a couple different things. I think for one, we just don't know because we've never done it before. You know, the expression, you don't know what you don't know. We've never done it before. We just assume because it's natural and biological, and our bodies were meant to do it, that it's just going to be easy and natural. And that's not always the case. So I think that's one piece. And then I also feel like as a culture, especially here in the United States, we don't prioritize moms, right? Like everybody wants to do all the things for you and show up and touch your belly and gush over the baby. But once you deliver, they're really so focused on baby and not on mom, And I think as just a culture, we don't prioritize ourselves like we should. And so breastfeeding feels very much a selfish thing. It's our bodies doing the work, right? So I think we just don't prioritize that prenatally like we do the baby's nursery and getting all the diapers,
Yeah.
together and folding all the clothes and all the things. Um, so I think it's almost perceived as selfish to focus on ourselves. And that's why we don't.
Wow. I feel like so many light bulbs just went off for myself and maybe you fellow moms that are listening. And it's a cultural thing too. Like you said, like sometimes we can't help but the societies that we've grown up in, that we're immersed in. And sometimes it really does work against us. So I love that the work that you do and the conversation that we're having today is shining more of a light on the importance of breastfeeding and especially preparing for it. As you were talking, I was like, you know what we need to make a thing? We need to make like a hashtag mommy shower instead of a baby,
Yes,
right? Like we
I
need to
like it.
yeah, like what do the moms need? Because we are so much a big part of this equation here. Without
Mhm,
us, there is no them. Without there's no baby, and especially afterwards
mhm,
when they rely on us so much for survival. Um,
mhm.
so my question
I
for you,
love that.
with knowing all the things that are against us now that we are aiming to be more proactive women, especially if we're here listening to your advice today, what would you say, what should women focus on before giving birth when it comes to breastfeeding?
The biggest thing I would say is just education, and preparation. There's not much we need to do physically to prepare our breasts to breastfeed. More often than not, we have enough milk and our breasts are equipped to breastfeed. Obviously, there's certain situations where, that's not the case. And in those situations, you'd want to really proactively work with an IBCLC. Um, but let's say for the most part, the general population of women, our breasts are ready to go. They know what they're supposed to do. Um, but when I say preparation, I say because we are in a culture where we don't have a lot of support in the postpartum, like what are things you can do now during pregnancy to prepare to take more off your plate later? Maybe that's making some freezer meals or arranging a meal train with family and friends. Maybe you hire a housekeeper for just, that first month, something like that is whatever you can do to afford or whatever you can afford to do to just take some things off your plate. So that would be the preparation and then the education. I think get with an IBCLC if you can prenatally, do a prenatal, whether it be a breastfeeding class or a one-on-one. Um, there are so many resources online, especially coming out of COVID, where I could chat with you online virtually about breastfeeding, way over there in Belgium. There's so many options to be able to get some education and support. A lot of times when I see moms run into breastfeeding supply issues, it's really just a matter of misinformation. Oh, I didn't know I needed to do XYZ, and then it turns the whole thing around. So I think preparation and education are the two biggest things.
Preparation and education, I love it. It's so empowering when you put it that way, and when
Yeah,
you show moms what they can do, because there's so much we can't do, there's so much you can't expect to prepare for. So I love
right.
that so much of your intuitive advice right there was very much about nothing necessarily to do specifically with breastfeeding. It's almost like I feel like you what you shared puts a mom in a really great mindset and space to breastfeed too. It's like giving her empowerment back, which is so
Yeah,
encouraging. And I wanted to
yeah,
ask,
that's a goal.
you had said acronym for a specialist. Could you just say what that is?
Sure. Sorry, I'm IBCLC, so that's my role. It stands for Internationally Board Certified Lactation Consultant. There are several different types of lactation professionals. IBCLC is kind of the top, the gold standard. It means that we have a number of criteria, including breastfeeding specific education, college credits, and we had to pass a board that is given internationally, so I can practice in Prague if I wanted to. IBCLC, internationally board certified lactation consultant. Kind of a little alphabet soup there.
Exactly. Good thing you can pause and rewind this podcast, and I'll definitely
Yeah.
use in the show notes for sure. I'll definitely put those in the show notes, and also maybe add that to your prep list. I know us women love creating lists. If any moms are out there like me, something else I think that I have come to mind when I think of moms prepping and making lists and figuring out, okay, so I can do this, Sarah. Like I can do this. I can prep that way. Is there anything that you would suggest that could specifically be taken off the mom's plate and something that like her partner, especially like the child's father or mother, could help the mom with?
Yeah, so I would probably see anything that's not breastfeeding. Changing diapers, baby's bath, cooking, cleaning, laundry. A really great and important job is for dad specifically is kind of being that gatekeeper. So in the early days, it's really important for mom to just focus on healing and breastfeeding and bonding with her baby. She really ideally should be in bed most of the first few weeks, just skin to skin with baby, breastfeeding baby, bonding with baby, and nourish and taking care of. But everybody wants to come see baby, right? So a great job for dad is saying, geez, Aunt Susie, I know you really want to meet our baby. We'll let you know when we're ready for visitors. And just kind of being that, because who wants to just give birth, be exhausted, and then still have to be the bearer of bad news that we're not ready for you to meet our baby yet. We want to bond with him or her first, right? So I love that job for dads. A lot of times they don't mind being the bad guy. They kind of like it. They kind of like being the gatekeeper. So I love that job for dads. But like I said, anything that's not breastfeeding, you can do. All the other things, bringing baby to mom in the middle of the night, if you're not co-sleeping, so mom doesn't have to get up and she can just breastfeed and go right back to sleep. Those are really great things to do for dad.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I cannot wait to go back through this episode and have my husband and I listen and take notes.
Yeah.
No, great practical information. And, almost what you said too. I know some moms have shared with me before that where their men don't mind being the gatekeeper, sometimes they're a little nervous, like, well, what do I say? Or like, how do I put this? And I think you gave a really great little script that even the women could jot down. And, ladies, you could simply just say, like, to your husband, like, hey, this is something that's very kind, very respectful, but very to the point. And I think it's a simple text message that a lot of people could even send out too.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of just a group text, like, hey, we're busy bonding with baby. Like when we're ready, we'll let you know. If you want to be supportive of our family, we'd be happy to have a casserole or a soup delivered, things like that. Because I think sometimes, yes, people want to see the baby, but I feel like family who genuinely cares about us and loves us and wants to support us, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, of course, everybody loves newborn snuggles, but I know, like, for my parents, like my mom just wanted to support me too. And while I didn't mind her visiting pretty early because she's my mom, I don't know that I'd want my aunts and uncles there right away. But sometimes they just want a way to support us. So that's why I love like a meal train or something like that. Like,
Yeah. No, it's great. It's like I think sometimes people just need to be told how to help. It's like
exactly.
they don't necessarily know how, and left to their own vices, sometimes we end up being a burden or taking more than we mean. So I love that's like free little tip right there, to also prep for your success.
Yeah.
I feel that it is my duty to inform my ladies and that are listening, and of course, and have you speak a little bit more on this beautiful new class that you were sharing with me about, that really follows along with your passion for why you've worked with breastfeeding moms, why you've taken on this journey. So would you mind sharing with us a little bit before we close, what your new class is about?
Sure. So this is my first ever recorded class that will be available for purchase online. I'm really excited, but also if you don't know me in real life, this is a big comfort step out of my comfort zone move for me. I hate being on video. I don't even like FaceTiming with my boyfriend. It drives him crazy. I don't like being on video. So it was a huge just step out for me. But I believe strongly that the message needs to get out to women. So my class is crafting your registry for breastfeeding success. In this age of kind of consumerism, I feel like everything has to have a price tag, and breastfeeding's free, but that doesn't mean that companies aren't going to try to market things at moms that they don't really need. In order to make money. So my class just kind of goes through some different things that are commonly marketed towards breastfeeding moms. Um, I don't really mention too many specific brands like buy this pacifier, not that pacifier for the most part. There's a couple that I do just because there are some kind of gimmicky things with certain bottles and pacifiers and stuff that I want to kind of dispel those myths. But for the most part, I just kind of walk through like what you can add to your registry to help facilitate like breastfeeding and support breastfeeding. And then kind of what you don't really need, like what are they just marketing towards you just to make some money? Because I do think in this season, it's important to spend our money wisely. That way, you know, when you do deliver, maybe you have a little extra money for the housekeeper that we talked about, or a postpartum doula, or something else that's more valuable for your money. So anyway, it'll be launching in just a few days. I think hopefully, as long as I have it done. So hopefully I'll send it to you, Cheyanne, so you can kind of share the link with your followers.
Perfect. Oh my gosh, Sarah, I see you as this like vigilante, like working behind the scenes, but really like helping reveal some of the really sticky areas of when you are a new mom or a mom again, like just unsure of who to trust and am I just being sold to? And I love that you're bringing your expertise and passion as a mom, but also as a breastfeeding expert to this space. It is so totally needed. And I will happily, ladies, if you're like chomping at the bits, like, ooh, I need that, I want that, I think it would be an awesome addition to your registry. And remember, not just a baby registry, but there's things you deserve to put on there too, as well, to embrace your own self-care in this time where you are also being born. The mother is being born. And so I will happily put that link when it's ready in the show notes. So no matter when you listen to this podcast, you'll have the opportunity to jump in there with Sarah. And Sarah, before we say goodbye today, if the ladies here would like to connect with you, whether it's to work with you or just shout you out and give you some big love on social media, what's the best way they can contact you?
Probably through my website or email. Would it be best if I just pass that along to you and you can put it in the show notes? And then I can give you my Instagram handle as well.
Totally. I think just to get it on audio, your website is milkandhoneybreastfeeding.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Awesome. And the rest, ladies, in case you didn't get that, it's milkandhoneybreastfeeding.com. And in case you want to connect with her on social, you can do so by looking in the show notes and we'll get you guys all connected. But Sarah, I am so honored to also help you today rip off a little bit of a Band-Aid since I got you on video here. But
yes,
you're going to do great things. We just thank you so much for just bringing your heart again and your knowledge and your passion here on my podcast today. And I look forward to continuing to work with you.
thank you, Cheyanne. I feel honored that I got to be a part of it. I know you're doing so many amazing things for mamas and you know, prenatally, postpartum, whatever their journey is, but you're doing so many great things to support them and kind of create a community. So I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
The honor is all mine. So much love back to you from Belgium to the US. Ladies, thank you for listening, and we'll see you on a future episode.